All right. We're back home for Wednesday nights live this week, back from Vegas. We'll go ahead and jump into it. We got a lot of juicy news cropping up out there this evening. Thanksgiving Eve. So we'll get into the Tether part here in a minute. But I want to start with just how grateful I really am for you guys. A lot of people take a lot of time out of their day to listen to my content or hang out with me on the lives here. And with Thanksgiving coming up, I always do my best each year to take time out and kind of reflect on things. I do that on my birthday, and I do it, at New Year's, like everybody does. But Thanksgiving is another one of those times for me that I just try to step back and just look at my life and really look at all the wonderful things that are in my life. Sometimes there's turmoil. Everybody has things going on. That's why it's life, right? But I talked about this on the Carbon 2 call. If you're healthy, if your family's healthy, um, it's really all that matters at the end of the day. You money, things, all that stuff can be traded, exchanged, repurchased. But at the end of the day, like, yeah, I don't know if the wealthier people that I've been around, they spend a lot of money on their health and their time. Those are the two things you really, when they're not in your life, it makes a big difference. Um, Somebody that's healthy can want lots of things. A person that's unhealthy wants one thing, and that is to be healthy again. So if you're healthy and you're happy and your family is doing well and is healthy, you have a lot to be thankful for. And I think, that many people, if you have invested pretty much wherever you put your money over the last 12 months, you have a lot to be very thankful for this Thanksgiving. I think that the world is right here on the precipice of change, and we'll talk about a lot of that tonight, I'm sure, with the wonderful questions that you guys have. But I just wanted to start off by saying I'm super grateful and I feel very blessed to be in a position where people want to listen to what I have to say. And then also for all of you guys that take time out of your schedule again to listen to this or watch the lives. None of the things that I'm building or working on a daily basis matter if other people don't care about them. I built, the majority of whatever, all the stuff that we have at Digital Ascension Group, all the services that we offer selfishly. Um, all the estate planning, CPA, accountants, the bill pay, the wealth management, all those things were really to solve problems for myself. But I feel really fulfilled and blessed to be able to offer those things to other people that are going to need them and need them now. We have 2,500 clients at Digital Wealth Partners, close to a billion in AUM, the majority of which is XRP. And that's only happened within a year. That's mind blowing when I look back at it to see just a year ago, we started taking on clients in October of 23, and to see it grow as fast as it has just been um, breathtaking, wild. I really don't have words for it. And again, that's because you guys see the value, you see what we're trying to build. I want something that allows everybody to really benefit from their investments in this asset class in perpetuity for generations. Uh, Not just, a flash in the pan, make a bunch of money, and then have to pay a bunch of taxes. And you can still do really well if you do that. You never go broke taking profit, but I do not know how to impress upon you guys what this stuff is. It is the backbone of the financial system that's going to exist for all of the rest of our lifetimes. Anybody that's watching this right now, it doesn't matter what age you are, XRP will be the backbone of the financial system for the rest of your life and likely your kids' lives. Your kids, fourth, fifth generation from now, things can change at that point, but in the fourth turning, you look at 80 and 100-year cycles. This is it. And if you're here and you've got an allocation, no matter how much that allocation is, you are extremely blessed. You got a seat at the table, and you're going to be able to participate in something that's never going to repeat again, in my opinion. It's once in a lifetime opportunity. So again, super grateful for that. And again, super grateful for you guys, and excited for, a little bit of time and food with my family. I take a lot of time away from them to do all of this stuff, so it's nice to spend some time with them when I can. Anyway, just want to say I appreciate you, and hopefully you're going to be able to get some time and enjoy all the things that you're thankful for with your family over the next 24 hours here, if you're in the US. And if you're international, hopefully, it's a good time to reflect on that, irrespective, either way. So with that, we'll go ahead and jump into the questions here. Again, appreciate you guys taking time out to hang out with me. The other thing I did want to touch on, just at a macro level, reverse carry trade on a knife's edge here, still waiting on oil. It's interesting to me to see the S&P downgrade Tether from a 4 to a 5. So it's actually the weakest rating that they can give a financial company. And Paulo came out and kind of, talked about why he thinks that is. But Tether is not transparent. They've been acquiring gold faster than any other central bank that's out there. They're not a central bank themselves, but like significantly more gold this last quarter than basically anybody else, which has obviously driven the price up of gold. We've seen a big move in gold here recently to the upside. A lot of people chasing that, a lot of people selling, a lot of people that have been holding gold for an extended period of time, taking profits on their gold. And, we've also had a big rise in BTC. Those two pieces make up a pretty good chunk of their balance sheet there at Tether, and they're not stable prices. So if they saw a large enough sell-off in Bitcoin or in gold, which I think both are imminent here with the reverse carry trade unwinding, and then we also don't know who holds their paper. They are, I think like the 16th largest holder of U.S. Treasuries. Is what's stated at this time. And so, obviously there's a big portion of the balance sheet that is made up by U.S. Treasuries, which is great. That is what, they've mandated here in the U.S. through the Genius Act that backs stable coins that are dollar denominated. But I do think, this is kind of a canary in the coal mine type situation. For them to downgrade them like that, it makes me feel like they might know something that we don't. And it went from like bad to worst. So I don't know what that means, but I do anticipate some issues with Tether that then, have implications for Bitcoin as well. And now that Bitcoin has systemic risk, I've thought about this a lot here lately too. I told you guys in the past that I've been 70-30 on Bitcoin, 0 or 100, or 0 or a million, excuse me, which I still think, both are possible. I just don't know if they're going to let Bitcoin go to 0 at this point. There's like really systemic risk with it. A lot of these large institutions, pension funds, sovereign wealth funds, so many people have an allocation through the ETFs at this point. And if the investment banks were to go, it wouldn't be good. It would not be good if Bitcoin went to 0 at this point. There'd be huge losses. Now, they can move Bitcoin onto the XRPL and trade it real time. Be much faster than trading it on Bitcoin's network. They could wrap it on the XRPL. I think that XRP is actually going to end up being what saves Bitcoin too. And over the long term, I think it will actually probably end up going to $1 million. I do think we're going to see $19,000 or $20,000 Bitcoin first, though. I think we're going to see a big pullback in Bitcoin. I don't think it's done yet. I think we're going to see what did it get to 125. So what would that be? An 85% drawdown, 80% drawdown in Bitcoin to get back to 20,000. I think that that's fairly feasible, especially with the way that the ETFs exacerbated on the way up. If we had problems with Tether and you saw huge sell-offs, which we've seen over the past week here, we've seen sell-off in the Bitcoin ETFs and purchase of the other ETFs that have been launched here for Solana and Doge and XRP and Hedera. Those are all in net inflows, whereas Bitcoin ETFs are net outflows. And I've talked about this for a while. I think that's where we're going to see the rotation this cycle out of the Bitcoin ETFs and into these other spot ETFs. So I don't know. I'm really thinking Bitcoin may end up being around, and maybe it will end up going to 1 million. But I do think there's going to be a big pullback first. Now, if it gets associated with Epstein and all the other conjecture that's out there, maybe the ETFs do get delisted, and there's some other implications that do cause it to go to zero. But I'm probably closer to 50-50 at this point. After recent assessments and thinking through things, I was much more leaning towards zero. I was 70% zero, 30% a million. I think I'm back to 50-50 on, and I do think there's going to be a big fall in the short term. I think that there's going to be a huge fall in Bitcoin in the short term. I just don't know, with the amount of systemic risk that exists today at this point, that if it's kind of like 2008 when all the big banks had problems. American Airlines was going to go bankrupt. It's kind of like almost a too big to fail at this point with the amount of systemic risk that it has. So we'll see. Again, I do have a crystal ball, but it doesn't show me the future. But I felt like I needed to come on here and state that, alongside the Tether stuff, because I have been weighing that out here recently. And I think if they were to just let it be in a free market, probably ends up going to zero. But we know that that's not how the world works at this point. We've seen the interventions and other things that have stepped in the past. And if they do move Bitcoin on the XRPL, yeah, I think digital gold could make sense. You also have quantum computing. Quantum computing is another big risk for Bitcoin, but they could pass amendments on that network to shore things up and upgrade it from SHA 256 to something more robust on the encryption. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things up in the air. I hate being like, it depends or 50-50 on stuff, but after really kind of thinking through things, that's really where I'm at with it. I'm undecided which one it's going to be, even though I was very heavily leaning toward zero, probably until just this last week here. So I'll have to see what happens. Again, this person's talked about the energy consumption. It actually augments the ability of people to turn up and down energy usage. So talking to the CEO of American Bitcoin and also Eric Trump, there's utility in the mining. There's a net benefit to miners existing, but again, a quantum computer could hack and mine all the Bitcoin in a week if it wanted to. It just, again, I think that they know what they can and can't do with the network, and they're going to manipulate it how they need to in order to be able to, create whatever vision for the future they want it to be. And I don't know what that ends up being at this point. But I do think that there's a very large systemic risk. And unless they were able to offset those losses with exposure to XRP, which is also possible, Bitcoin probably does stick around. So there's that to start with. And again, appreciate you guys taking time out of your evening to come hang out with me and ask good questions. We'll go ahead and jump into the super chats over here on YouTube. We've got Albert. He says, Jake, great show. Look forward to your weekly chats. Thanks for your optimism. Are you still bullish for year end? I am extremely bullish for year end. Like, I cannot impress upon you how bullish I am for year end for XRP in particular. No, and I should probably just go ahead and get my disclaimer out of the way since I already said that. Nothing here is financial advice. It's only for entertainment and educational purposes only. If you need financial advice, you can work with an advisor at Digital Wealth Partners, and they can provide you financial advice. They are licensed in order to be able to do so. Digital Wealth Partners is an SEC registered RIA, and all of the individuals are licensed there to be able to give you financial advice. I am not one of those individuals. I don't work at that corporation. I own it. But outside of that, I don't have much to do with the day-to-day or anything else that goes on there. So there's that. And then I also have to state that the opinions stated here are my opinions. They are not the opinions of Digital Ascension Group or Digital Wealth Partners. It's subsidiary. And so, take everything I say with a grain of salt. Our advisors are going to give you much different fiduciary opinions than what I'm going to state here. And that's why, again, I have to state these are my opinions and not the opinions of the firm. So with that out of the way, we'll jump to the fun stuff. This person says, I had so many bears on my X timeline that I can't fathom $100 XRP by the end of the year. Please give us some much needed hopium. God bless you. It comes down to everything that I've been talking about for the last 18 months. There was somebody that posted on my timeline. I think he said, all of these predictions and zero have come true. That's not true. Again, when I put out the first domino theory, stablecoin bill hadn't passed. The reverse carry trade hadn't started to unwind in August of last year like it did. You also didn't have ETFs that were live for XRP, which are now. Almost all of the things that I talked about in that original video have come to pass, except for the reverse carry trade unwinding. So for people to say, I've gotten nothing right, I would, fire back and say, I've gotten plenty right. And almost all of those things are already in place and all the dominoes are stood up now for everything to run exactly like I've been talking about. And if you can't see it at this point, I don't know how much more blatant it could be to hit you in the face. I've literally been, on here for two nights a week for years, talking about it. So, if you want to go back and watch those previous videos, you're more than welcome to do so. I'm still waiting on oil. Oil is going to be the spark or the straw that breaks the camel's back there in Japan, for the Bank of Japan to have to raise interest rates. They did say that they are going to raise interest rates in December if we make it that far. But at that point, it would be on them if they were to do it. And I don't think they want that monkey on their back. I think they need a scapegoat. They want to be able to point to something else and say, we had to because of this or that or the other. And I do think that it is going to be an oil-related hike. Markets are open in Japan tomorrow. All markets are closed here domestically in the U.S. for Thanksgiving. We also have Black Friday. I don't know that markets are open on Friday or not. Let me look here. Stock market open Friday? Question mark. Yes, stocks will be open on Friday. But they will be closed for Thanksgiving tomorrow, which is a Thursday. Ripple always loves Thursdays. So have to see, if anything moves here. May just be, an unassuming holiday, another time with your family where they look at you like you're crazy. I don't think they're going to be looking at you like you're crazy a whole lot longer. We've got a ton of inflows on the XRP ETFs eating up what's available, or the last little bit that's available over there on the OTC desk in the dark pools. There was one person that's tagged me in exchange balances. This website here, which I think is XRP Markets, or XPR, I don't know. XRP, I think it's XRP Markets. They show 4.2 billion XRP available across exchanges, Binance being the largest one of those. I'm hesitant to believe that. I would just want to understand how they're garnering that information, because again, you can look at XRP Scan and look at all of the wallets associated with these exchanges, but to determine which ones are available for buy and sell on the exchange versus what's available, or being held by retail or held by the exchange itself. I think this may be including the values that are held by the exchanges themselves on their balance sheet, separate of retail. So my 2 cents, and I could be wrong, I'm just one guy, and this is my assessment, is that it's actually closer to about 1 billion available for buy and sell on exchanges. The other 4.2, or the other 3.2 here, I believe, is held by exchanges themselves for their own balance sheet. Again, that's very difficult to determine just by looking at the on-chain analytics and the amounts being held in wallets. You could discern, which one of the wallets was the retail-facing wallet by the volume of transactions and seeing the amounts moving in and out and how frequent that was. But the ones that were for their treasury versus the reserve for the exchange would be difficult to figure out based on the movements from the wallets. So I think maybe that's how they've determined this amount. I would argue that I think it's less than that. I think it's closer to 1 billion on exchanges available for buy and sell, and the rest of that is for their own treasury. For the amounts on the OTC and the dark pools, you would have to talk to them. So you'd have to go talk to FalconX and Kraken and Uphold and Coinbase and Gemini and all of the other people that we have conversations with, and ask them questions like, hey, if I bought you a large order, what size block could you fill for XRP? How many of those large blocks could you fill if we brought you a client that had $50 million to buy XRP with? And they will tell you, which is interesting, that I would have had those conversations with people and then come on here and tell you what I think my guesstimate is, and people tell me I'm wrong. So if you guys want to go have those conversations and talk to the right people and ask those questions, you can figure out for yourself what's available over there on the OTC desk and dark pools. Or, you could talk to me since I've already asked those questions. But whatever, people want to read what they see on the internet and believe what they want to believe, and all that's okay. I'm here for it, right? My one of the rules at our company is Google it first. If you have a question about something, Google it first, and if you can't figure it out, then follow up with somebody. But if you can, most of the time you can Google it and figure things out. So I appreciate people that do research and look online for things and come to conclusions. That is a valuable skill, but I would personally rather hear it from the horse's mouth rather than read things on the internet. And I do think that might be some of the discrepancy or the difference that I have between myself and other people that put out content. Is I've been really blessed, and again, very, very grateful and humbled to be in rooms and have conversations with people that we do and have the opportunity to ask certain questions, to get little gold nuggets here and there. So again, I think that there might be $500 million to $1 billion left on the OTC, and I think there's about $1 billion left on exchanges for purchase. So that only leaves 2.5% of the total supply of XRP even available for these ETFs and other DATs and large structured products. And this doesn't include, you're not watching ETPs. There's also ETPs in Europe for XRP. You've got, what's the one? There's one in Canada that they actually are watching for the inflows on that. There will be other people that launch treasuries that buy XRP. You got Vivo Power and other people as well. So, I talked about 800 million on Monday. That's including all of the buyers. It's not just, the ETFs that have launched here domestically in the US that are being calculated over there on XRP markets. That's including other buyers also. So I think that may have been misstated or misleading on my part, and I know so that caused some confusion for people, but that's how I'm coming to that number. It's not just the ETF inflows from the ones that have launched here recently. So We'll go ahead and jump into the rest of the questions here. Again, appreciate you guys taking time out of your evening. Hot take from Travis. He says, won't the Clarity Act be the catalyst for accumulation from the big business and top banks, Afghan nationals, or Mossad smell like oil? It would be, yes. Yeah, so the Clarity Act will give businesses and banks a much further clarity around how things will be taxed and be used. The other thing that could happen that I don't think a lot of people really recognize is something I've been talking about for a long time, which is the BIS. It only takes one announcement. They come out and they say, hey, XRP is a tier 1 asset. Game over. It's done. Whether you like it or not, if they make that designation, they are who tell the banks what to buy and use and how things are going to work. So that could be something else that plays out as well is, outside, I believe that we have clarity for around XRP and Bitcoin here in the US, and those are the only two assets, and XRP sits in a unique position to be used in a liquidity crisis. And we know that it's not a security because of the lawsuit alongside the FINRA ruling, or sorry, the FinCEN ruling, not FINRA, FinCEN, back in 2014, 2015, where they designated it a currency, and they also fined Ripple in. So with those two classifications, we know exactly what XRP is here in the US. We know we're still unsure how it's going to be taxed is the one looming thing. But if the BIS came out and said that globally it's going to be the standard for back-end settlement and there are no tax implications across any jurisdiction, it's game over. It only takes one announcement by one party, and overnight everything changes. I don't think that, again, I think that the ETFs are now in place where you would see huge inflows if something like that were to be announced. And that could be then the catalyst that drives it through the FOMO and everything else to the prices where it can be used. Is that the way that things roll? Possibly. There's a lot of different, potential catalysts and then ways that this could roll out. But that's another one that I've been thinking about here lately. And a lot of people just, again, I've had a hard time, even believing that $100 would be possible in that short of a period of time. Just for analogous things here. In a 6-month period, ETH went from single digits, $9, to $300+ in 6 months. You also had Solana go from $2 to $200 something in 9 months. Okay, so for XRP to go from 50 cents to $100 in a little more than a year, it's completely reasonable for that to happen. Now, it would be an exponential move here at the end of the year, and that's what I know is, well, I can't say I know that's what's going to happen, but I'm again 99.99999% sure that that's what's going to happen. So for those out there that have had a hard time coming to terms with that, hopefully they do soon, because they don't have much time left. We got 4.5 weeks. I wouldn't make the bet if I wasn't pretty confident. So anyway, if you needed some hopium, there you go. There's your hopium. You almost slipped up. All right. And on that topic, we've had 4,000 people join the mastermind this month, which is wild. Like 13,000 people there in the mastermind at this point. We are shutting it down. And I think that's why these people have, and again, super blessed and grateful for all the people that have joined. It's fantastic to see so many new members and faces in there. They realize, like, I'm not just coming on here and running my mouth. Like, I have too much credibility on the line to come on here and just run my mouth and say things that are off the cuff or outlandish. without any context that I might be aware of that other people might not be. Okay. So if you want to get into the mastermind before we shut the doors, I highly recommend that you do that in a very short period of time. And if you want to get in there and lock it in for $2, you can use the code Beyond Broke, all capitalized, the number 1, and then MO like Mary Oscar, or the abbreviation for month. So that's Beyond Broke, all capitalized, the number 1, MO. Each of the first month for $2 in social or carbon one, locks in your prices in perpetuity. It's month to month. You can cancel anytime. If you don't like it or don't see the value, that is okay. We just want to give people a low cost way to be able to get in there and try it out. That's not going to last very much longer. I can tell you that with a high degree of certainty. When XRP goes above $10, we are locking it down. There will be no new members. It will be invite only, and it will be very expensive for those that it's an invite only for. So if you want to get in there and participate in that community, or it sounds like something you want to be a part of, we would love to have you. Beyondbroke.com is the website. And I would highly encourage you, if you've been thinking about it, or you're on the fence, pay the $2, get in there. If you don't like it, again, cancel at any time. It's not a big deal. But I can tell you, there's a reason that over 10,000 people are in there and stay every single month, even though it's month to month with no contract. We try to provide people a ton of value, and I talk about things in there that I don't talk about out here. So if you want access to that type of stuff, and again, the community, we have more in real life events than any other community. We do lots of things there in the group. I've tried to make that as valuable as I possibly can. I've been part of other masterminds that have been, a minimum of $5,000 to join, that I don't think provide as much value as we do in ours for $25 a month. So sounds cool to you? Again, we would love to have you in there. I won't harp on it tonight, but I did want to mention it because we're going to shut it down in the near future when XRP is over $10. So if that sounds like, again, a good place you want to be, and you want to be part of that community, we'd love to have you. And so I'll probably mention it one more time tonight, but I'll get off my soapbox. Tether, here we go. This is what I was talking about. Tether's been downgraded by the S&P as risky investment. Tether also stockpiled gold. These smell like dominoes lining up. What dominoes are left, you think? Oil. Oil is going to be the last thing that happens and what kicks everything else over. And that is like I said earlier, I think this downgrading, not by Moody's, but by the S&P, is it's the canary in the coal mine. It's them letting you know what's about to happen here. Justin Kincaid, my man, wake up, Uncle Danny. He says, Jake, can the Cormor gas oil strike today? I probably butchered how that's spoken. Oil strike today, affect Japan and start the reverse carry trade. Do AUM feeds include the Anchorage fees? Me and Uncle Danny completed both our DWP app today, and we are locked in. Awesome, dude. Glad to have you guys there in institutional custody working with DWP at Anchorage. Really cool things on the horizon here for partnerships that I want to tell you guys so bad, but I can't. Not quite yet. We'll have some people on the podcast to tell you guys. So with the AUM fees, we'll go back to oil in just a second. But the AUM fees, there are no additional. It's just the one cost. You pay DWP, and then we pay Anchorage. We have a negotiated rate with them based on the amount of AUM that we have, and we pass those savings on to our clients. And then, as price appreciates for people, and you're over $10 million, again, your rate drops to 40 basis points, which would be much cheaper than what it would be if you even went direct to some of the other exchanges out there for institutional custody. So, so there's that. And then the oil piece, I still think it's going to be the Strait of Hormuz. Like if you pinned me down and you said, which one of these three things is it going to be? Is it going to be Venezuela? Is it going to be Russia? Or is it going to be Iran and Israel. I think it's going to be Iran and Israel. I think that's going to be the one that, because that's the fastest way to move, and it's what Jim Rickards said. Like Jim has been consulting with the government for a long time, and if he knew how the currency wars were going to play out, the U.S. government would use that to their advantage. And just, it could be any one of the three. Honestly, it could, but I do think that that's the fastest way to spike oil to $100, or 20, 30, 50% spike in oil. That's the one I'm going to gamble on, is they shut down the Strait of Hormuz. So again, I'm not a gambler. I'm not a betting. I still didn't gamble while I was in Vegas. I was busy the whole time doing family stuff and podcasts and meeting with other clients and people and partners. So unfortunately, I still didn't get to play Baccarat or Pag Out Poker or any of the other fantastic games that you guys all recommended. Even the roulette, I passed by it a couple times and was almost like, I'll just throw 1,000 on black, like a couple people said, but I didn't do it. I did read an article that there was a lady that won 2 state lotteries here recently for a total of about $10.2 million. And she put it all on black on roulette and doubled it to $20.4 million. I find that highly suspect after listening to Mickey, who has bet on the strip and been kicked out of the majority of the casinos. I don't think they let you bet that much on one bet. Maybe they would if it's lottery winnings. Maybe they figure like you're going to lose it and we're just going to take that money from you. I don't know. Interesting to me to see that. I probably should have rolled it while I was there, but I didn't. So anyway, back to I always like squirrel and side tangent on stuff. I do think that it's going to be the Strait of Hormuz. I think it's going to be Iran and Israel. And I think that there's going to be some conflict that breaks out where they close the strait. It doesn't even have to be for very long, or it just has to be like an actual threat that they're going to. Any one of those things would move the price of oil substantially. Royal Yard USA, they say, thank you, Jake and DAG, for a new operating agreement from LLC. Awesome. I don't think my original operating agreement would have worked. It wouldn't have. If you are an attorney and you specialize in digital assets, you could probably write your own operating agreement. If you are not an attorney and you don't specialize in digital assets as an attorney, you're not barred, or maybe you're a recovering attorney and you used to be an attorney and now you've seen the light, like a couple people that I work with say, you're not going to be able to actually write the operating agreement yourself and cover all the bases that you're going to need to in order to be able to really do it the right way. And that's why I think we're very fair in our price for what we charge for the LLC. Just the operating agreement alone, if you went to an attorney in Wyoming to get it drafted, it's going to be somewhere between $1,800 and $2,500. And they're probably still going to miss some things that we have in there because we've been doing it. We've done 6,000 LLCs at this point for people holding their digital assets. So we've had a lot of time getting this right. So if you want to work with us and make sure that you're prepared and structured the right way to mitigate your taxes, have the anonymity, hold your assets where they're creditor protected, and then also be able to participate in institutional custody, because that is a requirement of Anchorage, is they will only work with businesses. They won't work with individuals. Then we would love to work with you on that side. Just go to digitalfamilyoffice.io and use the code 50OFF50 OFFDAGLLC, and that gets you everything end to end for $2,000, which is normally $4,000. And post price appreciation, the discount code will go away. And again, like we just talked about a while ago, I don't think that's very far in the future. So if you want to get it done and be proactive, if you have less than 50,000 in your total portfolio value, don't worry about it. You can do it later. But for people that have more than that, I think it could make a lot of sense, cost to benefit wise, to go ahead and get that set up. This person's asked 46,000 XRP. Yes, that's absolutely enough. And it's only 2,000 to set the LLC up. If you want the living trust alongside that, it is an additional $500, which is again also going to be cheaper than any attorney in your state. It's going to charge you $1,000 to $2,000 to do a living trust. And we work with Laughlin, which is our paralegal group, to get all of that structured and filed for you. They use trust and will, which is another option. If you guys want to go check them out, I think their retail price on stuff is like $800. Again, we charge $5, so even cheaper than, and they are very good at what they do. So that's the cost on there. And again, that code, if you want to work with us at digitalfamilyoffice.io, is 50 off 50 OFFDAG LLC. And that gets you everything end to end for your digital asset holding company, your holding company that manages alternative investments with a sleeve for crypto. Soul Shift says, the meek shall inherit the earth. My smile was as big as Nate's when you said this. You know, just like we do, there's a greater purpose behind all this. Yeah, there is. The amount of fantastic people that I talk to that are just really good-hearted people that have found this is it's unbelievable, honestly. Like, to have so many good people that are not gluttonous or egotistical, they just want to do well for themselves and their families, and then give back in so many wonderful ways. I have been blown away by how kind-hearted and wonderful most people that have bought a bunch of XRP are. And I feel really blessed to be in a position to build the things that they need to be able to execute on those visions. And I think God's given them the resources to be able to accomplish those goals and walk in their highest path that, you know, that He's laid out for them. And this is what allows them to do it. This is what is the thing that moves them into a position to be able to execute on that stuff. So I've just, again, really humbled. I feel very blessed to be in a position to help people. And yeah, it was really interesting to hear him say the same thing, that he had found, you know, what is very similar across all of his, all the people that he's met. And again, we have 2,500 clients. There's 13,000 people in the mastermind. I would say 99% of those people are all that way. So when I say the meek shall inherit the earth, I 100% believe it. And it's going to be really, really fun to watch and see the ways that the world's going to change because of all of the people that are going to come into a much higher standing with the appreciation on this asset. Jaja says, "Hey Jake, you mentioned that they could possibly, take your XRP like they did to gold. Do you mean that if it's on an exchange or cold wallet too? Thank you." So when I met Jaja, when I met with MasterCard in 2024, we were in Dubai in February of 24. They can trace all of it. They know exactly who has what crypto. Doesn't matter where you bought it, if you mined it, all of it. They got it traced all the way back. So yes, cold wallets, exchanges, it is not going to matter. If you are doing anything illicit or the government wants to know, and then they could also subpoena the cold wallet for the keys. Like, people think that that's an impossibility. No, they could absolutely go to Ledger and say, hey, we need the keys to this wallet that was lost in your boating accident. We need the crypto. And they are going to conform. They will have to. There's not an option. So what's different, again, and I think your best chance, if you think that's a possibility, I really am not overly scared about it. They don't need our XRP. Okay. Like, they're fine with a bunch of people getting rich. This person says, what's the LLC code? It's 50 off 50 OFFDAG LLC. That's 50 OFFDAG LLC. Get you everything for $2,000. on the LLC at digitalfamilyoffice.io. So back to her question here. I don't think the government's going to come try to confiscate your stuff. I was on the committee with Jimmy Valley and all those guys that put out the valuation for XRP. I don't talk about that very often because a lot of people poo-pooed on Jimmy for that for whatever reason. But that was his whole premise behind it. It wasn't to garner attention or any. He really just wanted to make sure that if they were going to try to take it from people, they were going to have to do it at the real value. They couldn't just, arbitrarily say it's worth $5 and take it from everybody and then it'd be used at $1,000 or $10,000 later on. He wanted to make sure that people got the fair value for their assets and to prevent the government from doing what they did to gold in the 1930s. He's kind of stepped away from the limelight at this point. He is involved with some bigger stuff now. Congratulations to Jimmy and all the stuff that he has going on. But if it's held in a company, you're not an individual. They're not going to be able to take it. It's part of your treasury. So again, I think that you're going to be much better protected. You're going to have the anonymity. You're going to get creditor protection. You're going to get all the benefits that go along with structuring it the right way. And that is, again, a reduced risk that if there is some type of confiscation or something that, again, I don't think is going to happen. But if you are worried about that, holding it in an LLC would mitigate a lot of that risk. Person asked for the Mastermind code again. It is Beyond Broke, all capitalized, the number 1, and then MO gets you the first month for $2 there in the Mastermind. We've got Foxdie, Nano Machines. It's an interesting name. They say, hey, legend, was wondering, I bench 105 kilograms right and row, 80 kilograms, leg press 320 kilograms, all around 8 to 10 reps. How much can you do? And how long until I can bench 140 kilograms if I train 8 hours a week? Cheers. So for those that don't know, I was a national level bodybuilder in my past. I competed on the national level 3 times. My last show was 2019. I competed at 230 pounds at about 5% body fat. I am 5'11". So very spent a lot of time in the gym. And was very regimented with my diet, my food, and everything else for a long period of time, probably about 8 years. Never missed a meal. So so all of that other stuff around what you just stated matters. Are you getting your 8 hours of sleep? Are you eating in order, in a small surplus, or getting enough protein to be able to grow the muscle tissue and gain strength to be able to do all the stuff that you're looking to do? I don't know where I'm at today. I can still bench 315 for like 8. I think the last time I did that, 315, 2.2 is what you divide that by for kilograms. So what does that end up being? I think each one of those plates is 20 kilograms. They're 45-pound weights. So that's, the bar would also be 1, so that'd be 7 times. Yeah, so that's the 140 that you're talking about. Is 3 plates a side. You're doing 105, so I'm assuming that's 2 plates a side, or 225 on bench. The combine, people bench that for like 60 reps. The way that I trained, and again, I know this is way off topic for most people, but he asked and paid for the super chat, so I'm going to write it down. I would just work up to 20 reps on each exercise with as many 45s as I could do. And then when I got to 20 reps, I would add another 45, and it would drop me back to like 6 or 8 reps. And I would work up again with that amount of 45s to 20 reps. And then I would do it again, drop and add another 45. And that was kind of my way of gaining strength and size over time. My body responds better to volume versus high intensity type training like Dorian Yates or Casey Viator or Mike Messer. That's not my game. That's what those guys use, though. I'm more of a volume person like Jay Cutler type training. I would do, the bro split for the majority of my bodybuilding career. I did do push-pull legs for, intermittently, and that's what I do now. But yeah, if I'm gonna give you the numbers here, leg press, the most I ever did for 10 was 14 plates a side. I don't know what that is. It's a lot of weight. It's thousands of pounds, over 1,000 pounds. Squat, I did 405 for 27 on my 27th birthday. That was horrible. Do not recommend. My thighs were 27 inches apiece when I did that. They're not that way now. So, I don't know. I'm probably 10 plates aside for 8 to 10 reps on leg press. I could do 105 for 10 reps on barbell row, 105 kilograms or 225 pounds. And bench press, I would be at the 140, 140 kilograms or 315 pounds for, 8 to 10 reps. But again, I've been training since I was 17, so I've literally been training for 17 years. And I don't make I use, performance enhancing drugs for the majority of the time I was competing. So don't recommend that for most people. If you're competing at a high level, it's going to be hard to be able to compete. Really, if you're not doing that, especially as a white guy, just keeping it real. So, take that with a grain of salt, with what you will. That's where I'm at with things. This person says, can you explain why XRP will be needed in lieu of stable coins like RLUSD? So if you just had stable coins, you would just exacerbate the nostro vostro that exists today. You would have to pre-fund all of the accounts with those stable coins in order to settle, because banks don't want to hold the other counterparty's stable coin. You need something that sits in the middle, that's a bridge asset that allows that to be traded between the two stable coins, because the stable coins that the banks are going to issue are primarily going to be for interbank settlement, not settlement between them and somebody else. Because again, JP Morgan doesn't want Bank of America's stable coin, and Bank of America doesn't want Citi's stable coin. They want their own. And I don't think that you're going to have, really retail adoption of a lot of this stuff until much later. Peer-to-peer payments and Hyperledger and a lot of that, I think, are going to start to see traction probably in 27, late 26, early 27 is when I think we're going to see, the shift for banks and retail and merchant services. But the back-end settlement for institutions is going to be needed long before then. And again, back-end settlement of the stock market. We just watched the president of NASDAQ get interviewed by Monica Long, and she literally said the DTCC is where they're going to implement distributed ledger technology first, which was code for we're going to use Project Ion and settle through XRP, is what I heard. So, Miguel, he says, Big Brother Jake, what's going on, dude? Crypto Sensei is claiming that all ETF trackers for the spot ETFs are now showing around 600 million XRP as opposed to the 1.5 billion you stated before. Can you explain the difference there? So 1.5 billion is the total amount that's available on the OTC and dark pools, not the ETF trackers and what they purchase themselves. So I think that's where maybe, and again, I might have not been clear on my Monday podcast or my live, because there's been a lot of questions about that. So I'm including all of the other ETPs and, the DATs and Evernorth and everything else that's accumulating XRP in that 800 million XRP that I stated was, currently eaten off of the OTC desk and stuff, and the dark pools. So, just to define that for people so they have better perspective. But I think was a total of 1.5 billion available. I think we're eaten about halfway through that. And with the sustained volume on the ETFs, I don't think that I think we're going to be down to the billion that I think is on exchanges in the not too distant future. And then we will see price move. And we still haven't even seen the big dogs yet. I mean, we got Franklin Templeton, and we got, Bitwise, but we haven't seen BlackRock throw their hat in the ring. We haven't seen Vanguard. We haven't seen Fidelity. We haven't seen Wisdom Tree, and there are a few other spot ETFs that will go live as well. I think Friday and into next week. Mike, he says, hello, Mr. Jake. How are you, sir? Can't wait till Christmas and see what the price would be like. I have a small bag I managed to get. Can't wait for it to hit the level I need to get for the passive income. God bless you and your family. Thank you, brother. I'm thankful for you this Thanksgiving. And I'm also very excited for Christmas this year. What do we got here? This person says, hola, what's up? The crypto, Jake, the crypto Drake. You can call me Deb. Okay. All right, Deb. Appreciate the super chat. Is it true that when banks and others use XRP, they transact in drops rather than the full token? Can you explain the dynamics of a drop usage? Yeah. So a drop is 1/1,000,000th of an XRP. At scale, when XRP is $10,000 or higher, that'll leave 2 decimal places down to the penny, and one drop would be 1 penny at $10,000 per XRP. So at $1 million per XRP, one drop would be $1. Now you can go all the way down to 1/10 of a drop or 100th of a drop also, if the price gets high enough. So we could still get down to the penny even at $1 million XRP. This crypto sensei over here is probably a scam, just pointing it out. So that's what that means. It's 1/1,000,000th of an XRP. And when they are sending payments in XRP, it might not be a full XRP that they're sending. It might be a fraction of an XRP that they're sending, and therefore it would be a certain number of drops. So that's where you get the, nomenclature for drop, and why I think the future will be priced in drops. When XRP is $10,000, $50,000, $100,000, shoot, when the BIS says it's a tier 1 asset and we go to 4 digits, I think markets over time will be denominated in drops. It's going to take some time. It's probably at least another 3 years, maybe longer, before dollars are no longer what's used to denominate markets like they have been for my entire lifetime. So for me to say this, I sound crazy. I am well aware of how I sound when I say that stuff. But there's a shift that's coming. Things are going to change, and markets are going to change. And as things become tokenized, you probably need a new standard for what that looks like. An XRP being the exchange rate peg, and drops being 1/1,000,000th of an XRP. I think that that's very reasonable to see, that working out that direction. And to your point, they denominate it in drops when they send a payment. We've got Atlantic Living. Hey, good to see you. They used to be Atlantic Living used to be super chat every time I got on a live when I first started doing these. So shout out to you. Super grateful for your support, and always tuning in and always asking good questions. So thank you. I haven't seen you in a while, and I don't, if I've missed your super chat, I am sorry. But I really do enjoy the questions that you ask. So thank you. They said, Jake, been with you since 60 viewers. That's what I'm saying. You're an OG. Are you still considering opening a tour office in Q4 of 2026? Can serve Canadians better. Hope to meet you at the Staple event. Yeah, so Toronto, looking at some point next year for Toronto. We actually had a call today with a group that I think might be a really good partner there in Canada. So we'll have to figure out how we're going to structure that deal if we do it, and the commercials. But yeah, I want to make sure that we are international and we do have a presence in multiple jurisdictions, and Canada is definitely one of those. And 2026 will be the year that we expand into those jurisdictions. It takes time to get the licenses. It takes time to do a lot of that. But if we see the price appreciation, or when we see the price appreciation here at the end of the year, we'll have more than enough capital and more than enough runway to make that happen. There he is. Honest Aim. Good to see you. This is another OG for you guys that don't know. It's cool. It's like, it's crazy, honestly. There's people that I talked to that were in the Facebook group or in the first cohort of people that joined the mastermind when there was like, 20 people at the first event that we hosted. And now we have events when there's 300 or 400 people that come to them. We have 13,000 people in the mastermind. Like, it's been wild to watch it, and I'm sure it is for them too, to see the stark difference from where it was to where it is now. But Denny, or Honest Aim is one of those people, so appreciate you. He says, Mr. Legacy, hi to the tea lady. She got me the Vegas cup for the tea tonight. She stepped in before I got on here. Says, can't wait for the next movie installment for Fruition Productions. Any updates on premiere dates? Thanks for all that you built for us to become billionaires. Very thankful. There will be a lot of billionaires that we work with. I think they here. Well, I can pull it up here. I'll tell you what Chris sent me. So Chris does the production for Fruition Films. He said we will release dates. I don't know if I want him. They'll begin in January to promote the film. So, and they should release dates in late December, along with the tickets to be able to purchase, to be able to go to the premieres. So, hopefully that gives you what you're looking for, my man. And again, really blessed and excited to be a part of that. Money Disrupted is their new documentary that they're going to be releasing. We are an hour in here, and I always try to do this. I'm sure people will show up later, but I'm not going to get to all the super chats. I'm just going to say it now. I'll do my best to, but if you can stop the super chats, we're an hour in. I don't want you to pay money and not get your question answered. But I'm going to go to the bottom, and then we'll work our way back up through the super chats here after we get through Wayne. Wayne, my man, he says, there are 100 reasons that XRP will be the most widely used settlement option in the world. What is one reason it might not be? Because I can't think of a single reason why it won't be. So you want me to play devil's advocate? So I literally woke up every single day for a year and a half trying to figure out how I was wrong. And I kind of came to the same conclusion as you, as it has to be. There's not another option. The XLM will be used at scale for peer-to-peer payments and merchant services, but it needs to look like a competitor. You can't, antitrust laws and all of that. HBAR could be a competitor to XRP, but I think that they're going to be more focused on Web3 dApps and large social media platforms and that, and be more consumer facing versus, again, institutional settlement type stuff. If you had asked me this 2 or 3 years ago, I probably would have told you, well, Ripple's not a bank. They don't, they don't have a prime broker that's going to back them. They don't do treasury management. They don't have a stablecoin issuing company like Rail. But they've made all those acquisitions at this point. So, and now we have the ETFs, we have the Stablecoin Act, we have everything that I've been thinking we needed. Like any of the things that I'm like, well, if this didn't happen, then maybe that won't. But like all of them have happened. So we're here. Like we're here. I don't have anything. The only thing that like could stall it or cause some pause, I'll give you this one. If the Clarity Act were passed before XRP's price rises to a level where they're going to use it, which I don't think is going to happen. I think XRP is going to be, it was first in the gate. I think it'll be first out of the gate too. But if that were to occur and the stablecoin, or not the stablecoin, but the Clarity Act were to pass, there would be some competition. There would be some other options. But even then, the institutional infrastructure that's built on the XRPL and the amendments that they have passed and the partnerships and the integrations that Ripple has and R3 has and SBI has, What does Michael Saylor say? There is no second best. Like that's where I'm at with it. We got Trish. She says, Jake, can you speak about XRP in, and will it always be a 1-to-4 ratio, or the dynamic change as XRP gets higher? Thank you for all that you do. So right. So when I was on the panel with Vivo Power, he talked about buying at an 82% discount for XRP from Ripple. They're not going to be able to do that for forever. They can pad and seed some things now, but after the escrow, I don't know that they're going to be able to maintain control of the escrow. I think that the BIS or the IMF probably takes control. The whole Bancor coin situation that was proposed by John Maynard Keynes back at the original Bretton Woods, I think that's what ends up happening. I think that the IMF is probably the lender of last resort at the end of the day, and that power, moves away from the U.S. government and the dollar, and they have the ESDR, which has the 7 different currencies that are weighted. Well, it's 6 different currencies now that are weighted by the GDP of those nations. XRP could sit in that basket if it were adopted by Luxembourg or Liechtenstein as their currency to transact in their economy. Will that happen? Maybe, maybe not. There's some conjecture about that. We'll have to see. But I do think it'll operate as the exchange rate peg. And at scale, you wouldn't be able to buy at a discount anymore. So it would trade at a premium to NAV. It won't ever be a 1-to-1, especially if they're able to accumulate that much XRP early on at a 4-to-1. It should always trade above the NAV unless they just really mess something up or over leverage themselves like Saylor has and can't cover their debts. But seeding DeFi protocols on the XRPL and creating institutional products and yield, like that's their objective with Evernorth. And I do think that they're going to pay a dividend to people. I think that that's going to be a good investment for people. People that have bought, the stock now before the SPAC is actually closed. If I had a 401k or a stock portfolio, I would be buying that along with Canary Capital's ETF. Probably would be the 2 places I'd be parking cash. Again, not financial advice. I have to say that you do you with your stock portfolio and your money. But that's just if I had a retirement account or qualified account, that's what I'd be doing with it. If I wasn't holding XRP, and if it's an IRA, I'm holding just XRP. G-Unit. I love the name. They say, can you break down why XRP needs to be $100 for them to start using it? Yeah, I sure can. So it depends on available supply for whatever application, right? But for Swift in particular, it's $5 trillion a day. We now have, ISO in place. Again, messaging system, not settlement, standardized messaging across all of the different people. This person says, Matt Hamilton called you out. How'd that go? I don't know. Matt, and he was actually right to call me out on that post. Just candidly, I have a marketing team that writes things. They use a lot of what I say in the stuff that they put together and they put on Twitter. And they put Ripple in the first sentence they put XRP instead of Ripple in the first sentence. And it did make it sound like XRP was ISO compliant, which is not the case. So Matt did rightly call out that mistake on that post. I've always been very respectful to him, and he's kind of a dick to everybody. It's not just me. It's not like I was explicitly exposed to him being a dick. But he was right to call me out on that. I'll admit that. But I did make the correction in the comments below because it only gives you like 60 minutes to edit your post there on X. So anyway, that's what happened on that deal. But anyway, ISO, back to that. I mean, you brought it up at an appropriate time. is a messaging standard that's now in place. So the banks could start using XRP to settle. The ISO messaging system is a precursor or preliminary need that needs to be in place in order for them to move to instant settlement. But there needs to be enough liquidity. So if, R3 was awarded 1.04 billion XRP in the lawsuit with Ripple back in the day. They were originally allocated 5 billion, and they ended up only getting 1. I'm pretty confident that they've sold off a portion of that, so they might have a 500 million XRP left, maybe less than that. But I don't know if Swift holds their own allocation of XRP or if the banks are going to be the ones supporting it. 100 is what I've been told is going to be required in order to start using it for Swift settlement. But you could back into the math there if you wanted to. So if you had 5 trillion, I'll turn my calculator, handy dandy, Blue's Clues calculator here. We got $5 trillion. Nope, $5 trillion. It doesn't have that much zeros on here. Dang it. The tea lady got me with my handy dandy calculator. She does not have enough zeros on this tiny little calculator. And I could use my phone, but we're over here on TikTok, so I won't. Anyway, you can do the math. That'd be about 5 billion XRP that would be available to be used for that. And that's, again, just one time per day that XRP would be being used. So, it's possible, according to the calculator that was put out by Robbie Mitchnick, that you could use XRP, the same XRP, up to 10 times a day. Is what he had there in the calculator. So that's why I think it needs to be $100. The Swift application, which is 5 trillion. Now, if you wanted to do the back end settlement of the stock market and the FX and commodities markets, now we're talking $20 trillion a day in total volume. If you wanted to start using it for MasterCard and Visa, TPS is going to have to be wild in order to do that. We know that both of those corporations or enterprises, have been at Swell on multiple occasions and have a relationship with Ripple. They got a little squirrely when I asked them about XRP, which is always fun. Like, again, that's the fun part for me. Again, very blessed and super humbled in order to be able to have conversations with the people that we have over the years. And I try not to abuse that, but in the conversations, if I am able to slip in a question about XRP or their thoughts on things, or how would this impact that, or how much could you buy, there's often a visceral reaction and then a swift change of the topic when I bring it up. So that tells me all I need to know. And then sometimes there's the occasional golden nugget that's shared as well. All right, we'll move on here. Chris, my man, he says, thanks for being so amazing. 36 days from January 1st. What does 2026 look like for XRP? Been a lot of ETF inflows. Do ETFs need to exceed 5 billion in inflows to make XRP jump to 100? Yeah, it's going to have to be a lot in a very short period of time in order to drive the price up. Now, the less and less supply that's available on the exchanges, if there's a billion XRP on exchanges, that based on what I can tell, that is available for purchase, and you have retail, there will be retail that sells to additional XRP onto the market as price climbs. So I don't know how, maybe it's another billion that comes onto the market. The one thing that I will say about XRP holders in particular is they're here for the big numbers. We believe in the big numbers, and we're here for the big numbers. And so I think a lot of people are just going to hold. And again, that there's not a whole lot of supply if people aren't willing to sell. So yeah, I think, somewhere between 5 and 8 billion in inflows on the ETFs. And it would need to be a tsunami of liquidity that moves in on XRP to push it to the price. But that's, again, why, the ETFs are imperative that we have those launched. And I do think that that's going to happen. I think you're going to see a rotation out of the Bitcoin ETFs into the XRP ETFs, and then it's going to drive price substantially higher. Andreas, thank you for the super chat. He says, thank you, Jake. You're a good human and a leader's leader. Thank you for that. I want people to win. I've talked about this before. Sucks to get rich alone. Like if you're flying on your private jet to your own island all by yourself, like maybe your family, like cool. You can spend time with your family, but if you've got a bunch of other rich friends to go do cool stuff with, that's a lot more fun. And that's what I know is going to happen, especially with the mastermind and everything that we have going on there. And, you know, I try to be, I've had bad managers before, and I've worked for people that did me dirty and didn't hold their word. I don't like that. And I've made mistakes too. It's not like I'm a perfect human being either. But I learn from those, and I do my best to iterate on that and make sure I don't repeat mistakes and treat people how I would want to be treated. And if you know that makes me a good leader, I think so. Again, I've been led by people that had really good qualities and redeeming qualities, and other people, and some of those same people that had those good qualities also had not so good things about them. And I've tried to learn all of those things, and that's kind of what put together my management style for our team and how we do things. I'm firm when I need to be firm, but I also always want more data and information. If you're able to present your case to me in a way that I hadn't considered, I will reconsider whatever I've decided. And I want, again, I really want the best for people. That's what I'm here for. I don't have to do this. I could quit today, shut the doors. I'm good. Like I'm very good. I do this because I get fulfillment from it, and I really do want people to win, and I want people to be taken care of, and I want them to have a good place to go to make sure that they have all of the opportunities and resources that they're going to need post price appreciation to maximize their investment, and protect it over the long term for multiple generations. So, yeah, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. A lot of people, when they meet me, and this is, again, it's weird to hear, but they're like, you're the same person here as you are on the lives. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know how else to be. Met a gentleman in the airport today. Shout out to David. You know who you are. He was coming from Vegas to Dallas, and he's sitting in the airport, and he's got an XRP shirt on. And I sit down and I, look over at him, give him the wink, and he was like, so, it's cool to meet people out in the wild like that. Few and far between. There's not a whole lot of people that this person says, didn't someone just out you as a paid influencer? I would take money from Ripple. If you can get them to pay me, let me know. That'd be great. I would take it. But I've never received any type of payment from Ripple, never a grant, investment, nothing. I talked to him. We were at Swell. And that might be the case at some point in the future, depending on how things progress here. But I've never made a dime from Ripple or any other large. I paid R3. They didn't pay me. So I don't know. People out there are so crazy with their accusations on stuff. I guess I could see why you would say that. XRP is not a meme coin though. Like retail is not going to matter. Obviously, if retail and their FOMO or anything was going to matter, it would have changed the price during the lawsuit. Ripple and the big dogs manipulate the price of XRP. They hold it down. They suppress it. It's not going to matter how bullish I make you on XRP and how much you go buy. I don't care. It doesn't do anything for me. Yeah, if you can get them to pay me, I'll take it. But up to this point, they've never offered, and I've never asked either. We got Amars Amserve. They say making sure you're not AI. Ready for price appreciation. Let's go, legend. Nope, I got all 10 of my fingers. I'm just a regular dude, just like everybody else. There are a lot of fake profiles out there, so probably should take the moment to address that. I'm never going to message you. It's not going to happen. I wish I had time to sit on social media and message you guys, but I don't. I am working 14 to 16 hours a day, and I consider this part of my job. I get on here and I enjoy all of my work, to be honest with you. I would not rather be doing anything else in the whole world. I wake up super excited every single day to do what I do for a living. Just super blessed. Again, with Thanksgiving coming up, if you're just joining us here recently, I went through a whole spiel at the beginning, but like, I am so grateful to wake up every single day and get to do what I do. And this is absolutely the most fulfilling thing that I have ever done in my entire life. And I feel so humbled and so blessed every single day. Very grateful. But anyway, so I don't even, where was this person that said something over here that I was responding to? Or maybe it was a super chat. I don't know. We're going to move on to the next thing. Sometimes I have a brain fart just like everybody else. Oh, I'm just a regular dude. Yeah. I don't think I'm anybody special. But I appreciate all the compliments that people give. Ellis says, brother man, what's up, dude? I got my buddy into XRP and he's getting doubtful. So I bet him 100 XRP. It's $50 by my birthday, 12/19. Tell me the good stuff. We all want to hear. I think you might win that bet, my man. Again, it depends on catalyst and certain things playing out. But I think that time frame is very reasonable to achieve that goal. Chomp Master. They say, Jake the Snake. What's up, my dude? Rewatch the Brad Garlinghouse chat. What do we call it when we know XRP's the move, then forget and need 100 reminders? What's that phenomenon? Hi to the T Queen. Appreciate that, man. I think that's pretty normal. I sit in a really weird spot. Again, not everybody's had the conversations that I've had and met the people and seen what I've seen. So like it's a foregone conclusion for me. I don't even think about it anymore. I run aggressively every single day to make sure that we're prepared for when all of this does roll in the very, very near future. And so that's all I focus on every single day because it's a foregone conclusion for me. I've seen enough, heard enough, had enough conversations to know it's a fact. And other people might, not been here for 5 years and might need the reminder. They might still be in that first 1.5 year period where they're questioning everything every single day and trying to figure out if they're crazy or not. I went through that phase. I get it. You need the additional affirmation. There were plenty of other influencers out there that I watched every single day for that whole period. And I asked questions and tried to figure out how I was wrong. Not wrong. I'm not wrong. There's been lots of things in my life I've been wrong about, and there will be lots of things after this that I'm wrong about. Okay. But this one I'm not wrong about. This one I'm right about. And so, but I get it. I get why people would need the additional affirmation. I said I was going to go to the bottom and go back up, and I didn't do that. But I'm going to do that right now. And if Legacy, because I know he's out there, my good buddy Mike, yeah, he sent me the super chats here. So I'll make sure I get to these, and then we'll go back up through the chat here. The crypto couple with the 58.90 super chat, 589. Thank you so much. They say, what is a day in the life of the legend Jake Claver from Wake to Crash Out? Happy Thanksgiving to you and the tea lady, Carbon 2. Love the mastermind. Holding pattern until I can onboard with you. Your mods are the best in the business. Thank you. Thank you for the super chat and all the kind words. I posted a little story the other day on Instagram. Max, who's awesome, by the way. If y'all don't know Max Avery, he's my business partner in the Mastermind and in Digital Ascension Group. None of this exists without Max. So love him or hate him. He is absolutely imperative to the success of everything that we've done and will continue to do. So shout out to him. And I'm very grateful and thankful for him tomorrow and every day. But as far as, a day in the life, I shoot some of those. We showed you guys Vegas and New York. We did the blog for that. And then Nick also filmed the 3 conferences in a row. We had Swell and then Futurist, and then over here to Dallas for another conference where I spoke. Those are longer videos on YouTube if you guys want to go check them out. He does a lot of really good job with the B-roll and the music and all the fun stuff in those. So that's, when I travel, that tends to be my jam. I normally have 3 to 5 meetings a day with different partners or clients in whatever city I'm in, speaking engagements, traveling, going back and forth, Uber, all that stuff. If I'm in the office, I normally get in. Sometimes I'm the first one in. Sometimes my assistant beats me into the office in the mornings. And I have some time to sit and think through things in the morning and execute on stuff that I need to get done. And then I'm normally back to back on meetings from, call it 10 a.m. until 5 or 6 p.m. every single day. And then I come home, or I'll go work out and then eat dinner. And then I get on the live with you guys. Or I have a Carbon 2 call, or I take my wife out for a date night every week. So that's normally the deal. And then I spend what a little bit of extra time I have, sometimes in the Discord or on social media, making sure I'm not missing any of the updates that are happening. For what little bit of gap that I do have before I close my eyes. That's what I'm doing. So happy Thanksgiving to you guys. Again, appreciate you being part of the mastermind. We got a couple more super chats here. Team Patterson, thank you so much for the super chat. They say happy Thanksgiving. Thank you for the super chat. And then we got Desmo. Dude, like, what? Thank you so much for sending the super chats to the size that you do. I am blown away. I'm very humbled. Thank you, thank you, thank you. He says, Mr. Claver, Beyond Broke Mastermind, DWP Carbon 1 here. Give Max a hug from the Carbon 1 members. He seems irritated on the weekend town halls. Like I said, love him or hate him. Max and I are like oil and water, but we do actually mix fairly well. So that's probably not the best. Still, we absolutely do have different personalities. I try to be a little more empathetic in the way I communicate things. Max is just straight to the point, as you can tell you you're going to know how you feel, how he feels, and know exactly where you sit with Max at all times. He says, enjoy the drinks. If you don't know, you will. Hats off to the tea lady. Also, holding XRP ETFs in your 401k offset drop from the reverse carry trade. Yes. Yeah, it would. The family offices that I talk to, I just, it's normally a hedge against that happening. And I say, hold, 1% of your total net worth in an allocation to XRP should be enough to be able to offset that. So if XRP goes up, from $3, it was a 33x to 100. Now it's, $2, it's a 50x. You're more than going to cover the rest of, your wealth. So at least, again, I can't give you financial advice, but somewhere between 1% and 5% of your total stock portfolio, if you had it in XRP ETFs, you're doing just fine. Still beating the drum for lower rates for XRP loans. Thank you for all that you've done and are doing. We have it. We have the lower rates. It is imminently close here. And I'm very excited to be able to announce the partner that we're going to have for that in the very near future. Postmaster, thank you for the super chat. They say, you are not a normal person because you are blessed by a higher power. and you're blessed with some crazy knowledge that you are spreading out, and I appreciate it so much. God bless you and your happy family, and your family. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you. I appreciate that. I feel guided a lot of the time, which is weird. It's a weird spot to sit in. Very blessed, also kind of scary, but I have full faith, and that's why I do what I do every single day. I again I have a lot of fulfillment with what I do, but it's unlike any other thing that I've ever experienced in my life. And again, very humbled, very grateful for it. So yes, feel very guided in what I do. I'm going to touch on one more thing from Desmo. He is a Carbon One member there, and I said I was going to touch on this one more time tonight. I'm not going to beat the dead horse or shill it because I don't like. I don't know. I've never been a used car salesman. I don't like to fearmonger or anything. But I would say, if you do want to join the mastermind or you've thought about it or you're on the fence, I would hurry up and do it. I do not think we have that much time till we are going to lock it down. All of the dominoes are in place. Everything's ready to roll. As soon as they spike oil, it is game on. It's on like Donkey Kong. and you're going to see XRP move in ways that people are going to have their heads are going to spin how fast this thing's going to go. So, again, if you want to join the mastermind, we're going to lock it down on the other side of a $10 XRP. I would highly recommend that if you do want to be in there post price appreciation, I would go ahead and do it now. So go to beyondbroke.com and use the code beyondbroke, all capitalized, the number 1, and then MO gets you the first month for $2 and it locks you in. You're good to go. You don't have to worry about it. Jeremy says, Carbon One here. Is your shirt any kind of size? I might hold some XDC. So I got this shirt. I want to say it was at Consensus in 23. We were there, and we've been close with the foundation for a long time. We know Ken, we know Ritesh and Atul. We've known a lot of people that have kind of come and gone through the XDC Foundation over the years. And this was their shirt. I may have got this one from Quincy. I don't know if Quincy gave me this shirt because I have 2 XDC shirts. And one of them was from Consensus in 23, and another one was one that Quincy gave me. So I don't have any more of these, but I like it, and it is a very comfortable shirt. It's a nice cotton material. We've got Domain Name Financial has given a super chat, and they say digital asset vault. Not sure what they're asking. I don't know if you're talking about institutional custody, but I can touch on that. So we do provide, I'll say this, there's a lot of people that do institutional custody out there of some kind, okay? Not going to talk about who or what they do in comparison to ours. There's a lot of good people out there. You use whoever you want to use. I'm going to use the same people as BlackRock, okay? BlackRock holds their assets at Anchorage for their ETFs. They move them there from Coinbase. So if that tells you anything about institutional custody at Anchorage and what DWP provides, for me, that says it all. They are the largest financial institution in the world. For them, security and all of the other things that go along with managing capital are paramount. And for them to move what they had from Coinbase to Anchorage because they felt like that was a better solution, that's all I need to know. And I want to be holding my stuff at the same place that they're holding their stuff because it's going to have to be the best in the business. And I know that it is there at Anchorage. So that's why we use them. And that's, you'll have your own segregated wallet and vault for your assets there at in institutional custody at Anchorage. It's insured up to $100 million. And we do have ways to be able to generate returns on your XRP. We have tri-party agreements to be able to borrow against your XRP, which I'm not advocating for, but people want to do it, so we have that option. And you have an advisor. It's all regulated. It's onshore, not offshore. They're your assets. You don't have to give them up to anybody else. It's bankruptcy remote. All the stuff that you would want to be able to mitigate risk or counterparty risk is what we've done there with Digital Wealth Partners in Anchorage. So if that sounds cool to you, if you do want all of those services, you can reach out to us. You can just go to digitalwealthpartners.net and you go to the contact us form. You will need your assets inside of an LLC or a trust or an IRA. And you will need at least 50,000 XRP as our minimum there with Digital Wealth Partners. But if you meet those requirements, we would love to have a conversation with you. And, if you would like to hold your assets at Anchorage in your own account, we do have the way to do it. Got a couple more here, and we'll hang out for another 20 minutes or so. Michael, he says, what about the fact they are purposely rug it below $2 and alternate the 10 to 15 buyback to flatten their pocket? To fatten their pocket. Yeah. Michael, I don't make any bones about it. Like the way that Ripple funds their business, they sell XRP and they manipulate the price. But they're holding price stability to be able to trial it and use it. And if they're going to use that money to acquire all the other infrastructure partners to scale their, operations to make it like corner the market and force them to use XRP because it only benefits them over the long term if it goes up. It's kind of like JP Morgan with silver. Okay. They own like 50% of the global silver supply. They spoof the market all the time to hold the price down. And now that it's at $50 plus, who's the richest bank? JP Morgan. Because of all the silver that they hold. So it's kind of the same thing with Ripple. Okay. Like very similar model. They hold the majority of XRP, like 50% of the supply. And they can spoof it and hold it down for an extended period of time. But when it goes way, way up, guess who's the richest bank? It's Ripple. So I don't make any bones about that. Like I get it. I understand why other people would be frustrated by it. But I'm happy to have it because I know the outcome over the long term. Bob the Wood. All right. You got it, Bob. He says, when Ripple sells, they say they do it when the market is down, and they also responsible for killing rallies. If they are, is that on purpose to keep the price down? Yes. Yeah. Well, and look, it's also to show that the reserve and the escrow provides a ability to maintain price stability. That's what it's meant to do. And you need XRP to be a stable price for them to use it in the capacity that we want them to use it. And they got to be able to trial it for a long time and make sure that it's not going to be a problem. Banks aren't going to adopt something that's gone down in the past. Talked about this with Solana. I know Solana's made a lot of upgrades. They're doing awesome. I'm very proud for them. But they have had problems with where the whole network has gone down in the past. Banks aren't going to use it. There's too much risk for them in that. They've seen it go down before. It could go down again if there's too much volume on it. The XRPL has never gone down. In the 13 years that it's been around, never once. It's been paused twice, never gone down. So, Ripple does manipulate the price by selling onto the market. Again, I'm perfectly fine with that because I know the long-term outcome. Jesus Christ is the only way. Very cool name. I love that. He says, Jake, please, my man, what do you know that we do not know? You must know much more than what you can tell us. What should us XRP hodlers expect? I'll say it the same way I did on Cashew Nate's podcast. The meek shall inherit the earth. And if you found your way to XRP, 99% of the people that I've met are meek. They're very good people, but they don't take no shit. Excuse my French. They are going to do good things, and they're going to use that capital to change things for the better. So that's what's going to happen. Scrolling up here, we got a couple more. Nope, we already touched on this one. That was Michael. Christopher, he says, if Ripple owns 40 billion XRP, can you explain where the other 60 billion is and how we're to expect a supply shock? Also passed my Series 65. How can I apply to DWP? Awesome, dude. Please do apply. We have a job listing over on LinkedIn. You would just apply through the job listing over there on LinkedIn if you are credentialed and do have your Series 65. So the other 60 billion is out there. It's held by institutions and other parties. You can look at the XRP rich list at richlist.info. Rich-list.info. Gets you the XRP rich list, and you can look at all the wallet addresses. There's 7 million of them. You can see how much is held and what portion of the wallets, on and on and on. And you can see that some of the larger wallets hold large amounts of XRP, and they've been there a long time. Like they were pre-allocated or held by certain people that they knew weren't going to sell it or do anything with it. So that's where it is. And it's been distributed, and the rest of that is in escrow, like you mentioned. And I think a lot of those people that are holding large amounts of XRP are institutions and banks and enterprises that will start to use it on the other side of price appreciation. Or they want to hold it on their balance sheet to be able to offset losses. We have the most losses in history across all of the banks at this point right now. So would be, and the largest amount of debt that the US government has ever had. It was like $39 trillion, somewhere in there. Wouldn't that be cool if we had an asset on our balance sheet somewhere that was going to go to a much, much higher price and be able to offset all of that debt, just like repricing gold would. Things that make you go, So again, I don't think they need to confiscate ours. I think they already have plenty. And just in case you're wondering, Greg Kidd was like 5th or 6th employee at Ripple. Bob Way was like the 10th employee at Ripple. And Greg got them with a meeting at the Federal Reserve in 2014. So the US government's been well aware of Ripple and XRP for a long time. And we've never had an audit of the government's balance sheet and what crypto they hold, according to David Sachs, who's the crypto czar. So until I see that audit and know, how much XRP is held by the US government, I'm willing to bet that they have a pretty good clip ready to go. XRP Flip Flops says, hola, Jake. Actually, they don't say hola. Aloha, excuse me. Not hola. Any threat by ETH upgrade planned next month or more for more TPS institutions choosing ETH? Nope. Unfazed, unconcerned at all. ETH has been talking about upgrading and all this stuff for the entire time that it's been around, and still is horrible for, they were like, yeah, when we move to staking, it's going to be way faster and way cheaper. Nope. Sure wasn't. So for them to say in another month they're going to be faster and cheaper, I don't believe it. I'll believe it when I see it on that one. That's one of those I would believe if I saw. I've seen enough that I don't think that's going to happen. We already did Michael's. Appreciate you on the super chat. Got through a lot of them tonight. Here we go. Says, I have about 5K of XRP in, which is Evernorth. Should I keep it or change it for the ETF? I cannot buy crypto with the account that I added to my bag. I think Evernorth is going to trade at above the NAV. So it's going to have a higher ROI or bang for your buck. Each dollar that you put in there is going to be like amplified versus what you put in the ETF. and it's going to pay some type of distribution. So whereas the ETF won't, unless you did the one that does 3% distribution. So, but it is a guaranteed 3% distribution. I don't know what the dividend on Evernorth is going to be, but I would assume it would be pretty lucrative, knowing Ashish and Arrington and David. So, personally, I think that Evernorth would probably be a better play than just the ETF, and that's kind of what I stated earlier when I was talking about if I had a stock account, how I'd play it. There's some people that want to try the XXRP or the leveraged ETF, futures ETF. You got to time that really well. Right now it's down. So if you wanted to buy below the NAV and you think it's going to trade above the NAV as the price moves exponentially higher, but it is a trade. So if you would want to do it in a tax deferred or tax free account inside of a 401k or an IRA, I wouldn't do it in your personal name because you're likely going to have to sell it. Otherwise, it's just going to go back below the NAV at some point. Shy Divine says, thank you. I'm thankful for you. Thank you. Just finished the LLC with Laughlin. Awesome. The rep said if I add a manager, the structure and protection could change. So they added them as an officer. Is that true? What's the difference? I'd have to look at the specifics around that, but adding them to your board as an officer, you can still pay them. It's going to accomplish the same thing, and if it is going to change the structure or cause tax implications or issues, then that's probably the better way to do it. They are the paralegals. I know enough to be dangerous, and that's why we work with them. And everybody, they manage all of the corporate veil for us for all of our clients. So this is the other thing you get if you work with us on the LLC. You get the corporate veil for the whole year. So that's meeting minutes, board resolutions, issuing of your equity, all the stuff that you need to do to not commingle your cash and make sure that you're maintaining that creditor protection in the corporate veil that you're going to get there in Wyoming. And one of the main benefits of doing it there. So again, love Laughlin and all that they do for us. They've been a fantastic partner. And I'm really glad that you got the LLC. If you guys want the LLC, I saw a couple of people passing the code back and forth over here on TikTok, but I'll mention it one more time. If you need to set up your holding company to manage your digital assets because you believe that that's imperative to your long-term benefit, which I think it is, don't do it if you have less than $50,000 in your crypto portfolio. If you have less than 50 grand in crypto, I would wait. It's not imperative that you do it. If you have more than that, I would highly consider it. That's really kind of the threshold where it starts to make sense for cost to benefit. 6, 7. The code. I didn't even say it. It is 50 off 50 OFF DAG LLC. That's 50 OFF DAG LLC. James, my man, he says, we love what you do for the community. There's plenty of social media content creators. If they're not happy, if they're not happy, Beyond Broke Mastermind strong, awesome. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you for the kind words and being part of the community. Again, we are going to lock that down on the other side of a $10 XRP. So I would highly recommend if you want to get in there, I would do it tonight probably, or in the very, very near future. And again, you can use the code Beyond Broke, all capitalized, the number 1, and then MO gets you the first month for $2 there in the group. Let's see if I'm looking through all the other super chats. We got a couple more, and then we're going to wrap it up tonight. We got 122 Logistics. They say in the Mastermind, Carver One here. Great to see you. Can't wait to work with your team. Breaking generational curses. I love that, dude. That's awesome. Blessed for this opportunity. Thank you for all that you do. Can't wait to be proven right among my friends. Last laugh. #thankful. You will have the last laugh for sure. And again, in case you guys missed the code, Living Legacies put it up over here. So I just wanted to share it again. There it is on the screen for you. If you're over here on YouTube, it is Beyond Broke, all capitalized, the number 1, and then MO. The culture there in the community is second to none. I've like, you have an idea of how you think you want things to go and what you want to cultivate in a community when you start stuff. And to see it actually manifest and transpire like it has over the past 3 years, which is 3 years. It doesn't seem that long, and then it also seems way longer. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced something like that, where something seems like it happens so quickly, but at the same time, it's like I can't believe it. It seems way longer when I really think about it. But yeah, 3 years for the mastermind. January 6th be 3 years since we first announced it. We are Shadespot. Hey, Shadespot. They say, hey, Jake, with assets in custody, could you please explain if we can add new wallets and email and ID? How are we protected from imposters, scammers, quantum, removing and adding another wallet? Cheers. In institutional custody, we spin you up another vault or another account inside of that. And that's where we create the other wallet for you for whatever the asset is. So if you had a trust and an LLC, then, we would set up 2 separate accounts in your name because you would be the beneficial owner of both of those. But as far as spinning up another wallet inside the same vault, we don't do that. You just have one wallet for whatever the asset is inside the vault there. This person's asked, are you on Discord? I am on Discord, and that is where we have the mastermind. But if you get any messages from somebody that's pretending to me on Discord, it's a scam. I don't message people on Discord. So report, block, get rid of them. If you're already in custody, you're good, my man. You're secure from quantum. You're secure from all the other stuff. If you did want to take your assets out, they would call you and verify that it's you. We also have a whitelisted wallet, so you would add your cold wallet that you wanted to move it back to, and that'd be the only place that we could send it, type thing. And then once you're in there, you're good to go. We also are implementing some additional security features that'll come out to our clients in the near future through the portal that we've rolled out, that we built. So, that should be rolling here early Q1. If you had a traditional account, literally, this is the same reason I'm concerned about this, just like you are, like the AI voice recognition and the spoofing and stuff, somebody could call in and impersonate you and execute a trade or something. We have multiple ways to verify and have 2-factor authentication on things. And we will continue to amplify those security measures because we are well aware of the advent of AI and everything else that's coming along. So, definitely continuing to fortify the security over there at Anchorage with our portal that we have for our clients. I think we're about through all the super chats. There might be one more that I missed up here, and I'm going to try to grab it. Here we go. We got J King 9289. They say, when bringing a traditional IRA holding XRP from iTrust, what products does DBP offer to put it to work and earn yield and returns in kind? We have an algorithmic trading strategy that we just signed, finally signed, that we're going to be rolling out in mid-December. We have a few people that are already on the beta list for that, but that should be at scale. We can add up to $1 billion worth of XRP into that strategy. It is a trading strategy. So the difference in qualified products is you can't margin or lend against the principal. So we can't use it. I mean, we won't even be able to use it in some of the DeFi stuff because of the way it's structured, unless they change the regulation for crypto inside of an IRA, which we'll advocate for. We'll go talk to the SEC and other bodies about. Also applying to be part of the CFTC Innovation Council. Hopefully, if you guys can put a good word in with Caroline on that, I would love to be part of it. But we'll continue to advocate for that type of stuff to benefit our clients. And we do have that product that's going to be rolling out in the next 15 days here to everybody that has an IRA over there at Digital Wealth Partners. So go check it out. It's not for everybody. I won't say that it is, but it is a way to generate cash and additional XRP inside of your IRA. And we do have that product live here by mid-December. Finally. And then we're going to take this one and we're going to wrap it. We got Rob. He says, "Hey, Jake, your honesty is a true blessing. Thank you for all that you do. God bless you and your family. Happy Thanksgiving." Thank you for the super chat and the kind words, brother. Again, I wouldn't rather be doing anything else. I get so much fulfillment from coming on here and doing the lives and sharing time with you guys. And none of this, again, is possible if you guys don't care. If you guys don't want to take time out of your schedule to care what I have to say and come on here and ask great questions, it's not worth doing. So thank you. I'm grateful for you guys. That's what I'm grateful for, along with my health and many other things this year on Thanksgiving. But our clients and our supporters and our entire audience across all of our social media platforms and the XRP family. Extremely grateful for you guys. So with that, I am going to wrap. I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for taking time out on your Wednesday to come hang out with me. I'm wishing you the best Thanksgiving you have ever had in your entire life tomorrow with your families. If you, again, do want to join the mastermind, we would love to have you. The code is Beyond Broke, all capitalized, the number 1, and then MO at beyondbroke.com. Get you the first month for $2 in social or Carbon One. If you need the LLC, happy to work with you on that as well. Answer any questions that you have over there. Just go to digitalfamilyoffice.io and use the code 50OFF, 50OFF, get you everything all in for $2,000 on that. On the other side of price appreciation, that code is no longer good. It will be $4,000. And then last but not least, if you do want to work with Digital Wealth Partners, get institutional custody, your own advisor that can tell you, how to manage your digital asset investments and give you a full plan and outline on that. Then you go to digitalwealthpartners.net and go to the contact us form. So with that, I'm going to wrap it. Hope you guys have, again, a wonderful night, a beautiful Thanksgiving tomorrow, and wonderful time and memories with your family. And we'll see you guys next Monday. God bless.